Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Bhalabha Giribharadhari. Gopijana Bhalabha Giribharadhari. Jashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Jashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotarashata Shishimad. His Divine Grace says Bhaktivedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Granthara Shimam Bhagavatam ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Shishi Guru and Shigoranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Summon Bonum, Chapter 17, the killing of Dantavakra, Virudhata, and Romaharshan. Text number 17. Shrutva juddhodhyaman rama kurunam sahapandavai tirthabhishekapyajena madhyastha prajajaukila Sutva juddhodhyaman rama kurunam sahapandavai. Tirthabhishekabhyajena Madhyasta prajajao kila Srutva juddhodhyamam rama Kurunam sahapandavai Tirthabhishekabhyajena Madhyastha prajajao kila. Please chant. Srutva juddhodhyamam rama Kurunam sahapandavai Tirthabhishekabhyajena Madhyastha prajajao kila. Srutva juddhodhyamam rama Kurunam sahapandavai Tirthabhishekabhyajena Madhyastha prajajao kila. Srutva, hearing, Yudha, for battle, Udyamam, the preparations, Ramaha, Lord Balaram, Kurunam, of the Kurus, Saha, with Pandavai, the Pandavas, Tirtha, in holy places, Abhisheka, of bathing, Vyakena, on the pretext, Madhyastha, neutral, Prajajao, he departed, Kila, indeed. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Balaram then heard that the Kurus were preparing for war with the Pandavas. Being neutral, he departed on the pretext of going to bathe in holy places. Purport. Both Duryodhan and Yudhishthir were dear to Balaram, and so to avoid an awkward situation he departed. Furthermore, after killing the demon Viduratha, Lord Krishna put aside his weapons, but Lord Balaram still had to kill Ramaharshan and Valvala to finish relieving the earth of her burden of demons. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Romapa Swami Niti Namine. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Pashityade Satarine. Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyeva Chapatitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. So we recall Krishna's purpose to appear in the world. And the pastime, well, the purpose is he declares that in the Bhagavad Gita that he will give protection to the devotees, he will annihilate the demons, and he will establish the principles of religion in the world. For that purpose, He comes millennium after millennium. And in the past time, we remember that Mother Earth, in the company of all the demigods and being led by Lord Brahma, she went to request Lord Krishna in the form of his incarnation of uh, Lord Vishnu in Swetadweep by the ocean of milk. She pleaded to the Lord to please relieve her of the huge burden that all these demons were having on her. Huge burden. Now, consider, right now is coming to an end of Krishna's pastime, the whole narration, which have covered um, from Krishna's appearance all the way now that he's, in Dwarka. And the span goes something, what I recall is that Krishna stays in this world for 125 years. So close to that, because right now, so it's close to the 125. There's still the battlefield of Kurukshetra to happen, and there's still the time after the battlefield of Kurukshetra to happen. So it's around the region of 100 years that Krishna had performed all these pastimes. Now, the huge amount of demons that has been eliminated of earth, and not, and these are demoniac rulers, leaders, along with demoniac followers, and very powerful demons too. Not only from the leadership part, kings, but also warriors and just plain demons, like with described with deformed features like fangs and hair, all this stuff, rakshasas. So Krishna as a baby in Vrindavan, we hear how he eliminated all these huge amounts of demons that were sent by Kansa. Then he eliminated Kansa. That was the first thing. Then, as he took the leadership of the Yadus in Mathura, then he continued killing demons. And specifically, we hear about Jarasandha. Jarasandha was one of the demoniac rulers or kings. And Jarasandha's thing is that he was so powerful that he had all kinds of also surrogate demoniac kings who were part of his area of control. Very influential demon with other, similar demoniac kings following him. So he put together 17 times attacking Krishna. And he put together, I think one time was explained that he have close to 100 akshohinis. Some incredible amount of. Now, consider this. In the battlefield of Kurukshetra, there was about 600 million, roughly 600 million people killed. 600 million. I think during the Second World, something like 2 million were killed. 600 million. It's like an inconceivable amount of people. Huge amount of people. Now, the Pandavas have 7 Akshahinis and the Kauravas have 11 Akshahinis. So that's 18 Akshahinis. Now, Jarasandha, in just one go, he have an army of, I can't remember the number, but it was way more than these 11 Akshahinis. I have a dim recall that it was something. But anyway, I'm not going to speculate because I don't remember clear. But he had a huge amount of warriors, like in way much bigger than these 11 Akshahinis, that is 18 Akshahinis that were fighting in Kurukshetra. And he did that 17 times. Now, one of the reasons why Krishna didn't kill him the first time, because remember the past time, Krishna took care of that guy very easily, just by himself. And Balaram, the two of them, they decimated the army, left him just on his own, and then sending away. They could have killed him and finished. But he was so determined in his hatred to Krishna that he won't give up. He will put a huge army and then go and attack. He did that 17 times. So in one sense, you can understand he was very useful to Krishna in order to fulfill this purpose of eliminating the burden of these demoniac type of elements. Because he just packed them and bring them to Krishna. Krishna wiped them. Okay, bring me the next. Same thing, 17 times. And then you have the huge armies of personalities like Shishupal, personalities like Shalva, and all these demons that Krishna killed in his Dwarka Lila had also huge followers. So at the end, you see how Krishna were systematically eliminating all these demons. And at the same time, establishing Yudhishthira Maharaj and the Pandavas and the devotees as the protector of the earth, establishing the principles of religion through the immediate, tools for that, for Lord Krishna to establish Paritranaya, Dharma Sanstapananta, Dharma Sanstapananta, I can't, now I got up. But he established the principles of religion through the Pandavas. So he established in Maharaj Yudhishthira first with the Rajasuya sacrifice, and then you still have, so after Krishna kills this demon Dantavakra and Virudatta, then basically he was done with personally taking care of demons. That was the last one that he was going to take care directly himself. He put his sword down, and after killing these two, he went to Vrindavan finally. He went to Vrindavan, and it is explained, we read yesterday in the purport, was very elaborated, how Lord Krishna, after killing Virudatta, he put his sword down, he went to Vrindavan, and he stayed for 2 months in Vrindavan. Finally reuniting with his beloved devotees, the Brajavasis. Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, and the Gopis and the Gopas. He spent all that time, and after that time, he sent them back home, back to Godhead. They all left in, Vaikuntha Vimanas, and were taken back home, back to Godhead. So he concluded the past tense in Vrindavan. Remember that as the Brijavasis were suffering in separation and Krishna was suffering in separation, the reason he didn't return, and he keeps saying that in the messages to them, is that because he was afraid that the demons were seeing Krishna's affection for his devotees in Vrindavan, they will attack the devotees. We put them in danger. So only when he finished with these demons, then he went to Vrindavan. So we get into that point. So Krishna has basically eliminated, did the direct elimination of demons, massive amounts of demons. It's explained that Balaram still have two more to take care. And one of them is Ramaharsan Sutta, so we're going to hear about it. And then this other demon, Valvala. Ramaharsan Sutta was not just, one of these demoniac rulers, but he was a Brahmana, and he was a very important Brahmana because he was a disciple of Vyasadeva. So we're going to discuss more about it. And why Lord Balaram, dispatched him. And the rest of the pastime that we're going to hear, and we have the introduction here, that the preparations for the battle of Kurukshetra is happening right now, at the point of this narration. So the battlefield of Kurukshetra is going to happen. And once the battlefield of Kurukshetra is finished, this is the last part of Krishna's mission of establishing the principles of religion and eliminating the demons. So Duryodhana is asked, and Duryodhana's immediate associates, they were the demons that were left, demoniac influence that was left to dispatch. But not only that, along with the supporters of Duryodhana, there were also so many kings that would be eliminated there. Is that all this, almost like a whole, there's a term that is used now in politics, swamp, clean the swamp or drain the swamp. You drain, it's like almost like, you're draining the whole thing and it started anew again. So you eliminated kings that were so powerful, and in one sense, power is something that is that you have to deal very carefully. Only someone who is fully surrendered and fully connected with Krishna can handle that type of power and responsibility. So therefore, the position of the king is that the king have to be a saintly king, a Raja Rishi. Raja Rishi is a necessary element, because if it's not like that, then power can corrupt. And we see, there's many many personalities who somehow or other, um, they're circumstantially they have to uh, fight on the side of um, the demoniac side. So the whole thing actually was wiped clean. Krishna's pastor. So that's where we are right now. Now, the introduction is explained that Srila Sikadev Goswami now is going to narrate about Lord Balaram dispatching Ramaharshan Sutta. And his decision to remain neutral and don't get involved in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Now, the battlefield of Kurukshetra was a very, very, it was a very important point. It was almost like the height of this whole political drama that was happening in the world at that time. It's like you go to the final thing. The outcome of the battlefield of Kurukshetra was so consequential that you could not take a neutral position. So it questioned, why Balaram took this neutral position. Because Balaram is like Krishna. There's no difference between Balaram and Krishna. Balaram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In fact, when we see right there of the appearance of, the Lila avatars, it's Krishna and Balaram. So Krishna and Balaram, they descend to establish the principles of religions and to protect. So how is that Balaram took a neutral position? Krishna took a stand and he gave the opportunity, we know the pastime, he gave the opportunity to Duryodhana, equal opportunity to Duryodhana and Arjuna, on the understanding that they were both family members. So Krishna he showed his fairness. You both have the equal opportunity. So you choose me or you choose my army. For Arjuna, it was a no-brainer. For Duryodhana, was a no-brainer. So Arjuna chose Krishna, Duryodhana chose Krishna's army. But Krishna was very much involved directly into this. But Lord Balaram, he took a neutral position. So we can, it's a question. Why? Why Lord Balaram? And then on the top of that, the reason he took that neutral position is because Duryodhana, this demoniac fellow, was very dear to him. So now, why Lord Balaram holds dear someone who was demoniac? And not only that, Duryodhana was not just, someone who had these demoniac tendencies, but, um, maybe could be reformed. Like Lord Chaitanya, the great Vaishnavas, Acharyas, they transform, demoniac people. Narada transformed, the dacoit, what was his name? He ended transforming a dacoit into the great sage Valmiki Muni, Ratnakar, I think was his name, before. So Valmiki Muni, or Narada transformed Mugrari into a great sage. Lord Nityananda transformed Jayan Vijay and Lord Chaitanya into great sages. So, but Duryodhan, there was no way. Duryodhan was not interested. Duryodhan was very offensive, very inimical to Krishna and Krishna's devotees. And he showed that throughout. We know it's very well documented how much hatred he had towards the Pandavas, Krishna's dear devotees. We know that when Krishna went to negotiate peace, Duryodhan insulted and blasphemed Krishna, even tried to arrest Krishna. So how is Lord Balaram standing by this guy? So our acharyas give explanation for this question, and also some very important teachings. One thing that we hear through the Bhagavatam, just to um, talk about this special relationship with Balaram and Duryodhan. But Balaram was not, Duryodhan was not just an ordinary um, demoniac king. He was a very powerful. It is explained in the Garga Samhita that he was an expansion of Kali. You know that? Balaram? Duryodhan was an expansion of Kali. You heard that before, Chintya? You heard? Yeah, this is what it says here. Duryodhan Kaler Amso. You know this word Amso. You hear it in that what is it? Christians do Bhagavan Swajam. Amsa means a limb or an expansion, a partial expansion. So the translation described, this is the Garga Samhita, describe him as an ansa or partial expansion of Kali. So it was not ordinary, it was a very powerful. So, and in the Bhagavatam, we have heard the descriptions of this special relationship between Balaram, Lord Balaram, and Duryodhan in the relationship of guru and disciple. Guru and disciple. And in that relationship, Duryodhan became very dear to Lord Balaram. So he pleased Lord Balaram as a student. And, Balaram I mean, it was something, there was substance in the relationship from student to teacher. This is the descriptions in the Bhagavatam. This is in chapter 57, text 26 of Canto 10. Balaram stayed for several years in Mithila just to give association to Duryodhana and train him in the art of fighting with a club. He became so dear to Lord Balaram that Lord Balaram wanted to marry Subhadra to him. He wanted to give his sister Subhadra in marriage to Duryodhana. That's in chapter 86 is coming. Now, Duryodhana, he considered Lord Balaram as a supreme Lord. Because in different parts, this is described also in the Garga Samhita. Actually, you know that the whole Garga Samhita is now being translated by His Holiness um, His Holiness, I can't remember the name, but it's been translated by one of our sannyasis, the whole Garga Samhita. So it's pretty fantastic. So this Garga Samhita, um, Duryodhana, it is explained that Duryodhana will address Lord Balaram as Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord. So you have an understanding of Lord Balaram. It's also said it was Duryodhana who asked the sage Pradwipak Muni to inform him about Balaram's rasa dancing project. He was interested, sincerely interested, as well as various prayers and procedures for worshipping Baladev and Balaram's 1,000 names, a mantra, a whole recitation, chanting the names, the holy names of Lord Balaram. It was part of his understanding. So Balaram, one of the names that Balaram has is Duryodhana's guru. You know? So it's an accepted relationship. So naturally, from that perspective, it was a real relationship. Now, from the perspective of Balaram, we can understand, you know. So he holds dear. However, one still question, but how? Obviously, you know, he was a good disciple because he was very eager to learn. And he pleased Balaram, Lord Balaram, by that eagerness. And he submitted himself, he looked up to Lord Balaram as his teacher, his club teacher, his warrior fighting teacher. But still, if you see that your disciple is being offensive and holding to very bad behaviors and not being willing to reform, then you can reject. You know, we have the situations of spiritual masters rejecting disciples that are offensive. In the case of Madhavendra Puri rejecting his disciple Ramachandra Puri because he was very offensive. He said, I don't want to see your face. If I see your face when I'm leaving my body, I'm finished. So get out of here. But Lord Balaram, no. You know, so now, some of the explanations that our acharyas give is that Lord Balaram, although is one with Krishna, is also different than Krishna. He's a different person. And we know that these times that Lord Balaram goes against Krishna or is not in the same page with Krishna is not because Lord Balaram disregard or how you say diminish Krishna's position or goes against Krishna. Is that's not in the understanding. The understanding is that that happens because he enhances Krishna's rasa, and this concept of rasa, the concept of rasa is that is it's not just a mellow or a relationship, but it goes into a whole the whole spectrum of what's to what's to have a loving relationship, the flavors, the different flavors of a loving relationship. So the loving relationship is very dynamic. It's not just one thing. A loving relationship requires that there is dynamism. There is sometimes you are in agreement, sometimes you're in disagreement. And then when you're in disagreement, then it creates another aspect of this relationship in which you have to negotiate and sometimes show how much you're ready to compromise or how much the other part is ready to compromise to actually come to a conclusion. And that actually strengthens or enhances the loving relationship. If you have a relationship that is everything is agreeable, there's there's no there's no variety or diversity. So they have to have an element of differences. So Lord Balaram takes these positions for the purpose of enhancing Krishna's pastimes. Then Krishna becomes really creative. It's really a whole thing. Like, say, for example, when this instance, Lord Balaram wants to give Subhadra in marriage to Duryodhana. I mean, it's like Subhadra, it's the goddess of uh, fortune. No more than the goddess of fortune. I mean, the Lord's internal potency. And he wanted to give her to Duryodhana. I mean, Krishna, that was not Krishna's desire. It was very opposite to Krishna's desire. So what did Krishna do? He just made all this arrangement to make sure that Subhadra marries Arjuna. And then, of course, when Lord Balaram heard that Arjuna had taken Subhadra, he was so angry that he was ready to, go to battle and destroy the Kurus and Arjuna. And Krishna just explained, why would he made his case, and his case is Subhadra doesn't want to marry Duryodhana. Why would you do that to her? He wants to marry Arjuna. Anyway, so Krishna made his argument, Lord Balaram heard, and then he agrees. Then he was okay, very good. Then he gives his blessings. So, it makes a very dynamic, very sweet relationship. Even when we're disagreements, because I love you, then we discuss and we figure it out. We figure it out. So enhances that beautiful, loving relationship. And Krishna has, you know, create all these amazing arrangements, that are part of his pastimes, and also brings out the beautiful relationship that he have with Subhadra Maharani and the beautiful relationship he have with Arjuna. It's all these things that enhances Krishna's lila, which he enjoys. So that's what Lord Balaram does, you know. And he always at the end, sure, Krishna. Same thing when uh, Bhima wounded Duryodhana and killed Duryodhana, basically, by hitting him in an illegal, doing an illegal thing according to the laws of battle, especially club, because both of them were disciples of Balaram. So Balaram felt very offended and very angry at Bhima. And it was Krishna who told Bhima. Krishna was the one who told Bhima, hit them here, you know. So opposite. Krishna was very happy, Balaram was very angry. And he was ready to kill Bhima. And Krishna then tells him, makes his point, and then Lord Balaram say, okay, Krishna, we're okay. I'm still not very happy with Bhima, but we're okay. So, um, so that's very, very important thing to understand. But I want to bring out in these last few minutes a very important lesson now of this relationship of guru and disciple that Duryodhana was with Lord Balaram. Because it's important to understand the psychology also and how it applies to us. So there's three lessons that are given by our acharyas that that the first one is that this closeness externally that appears between Duryodhana and Lord Balaram as guru and teacher. And from the external perspective, um, we cannot fully see and understand just by looking looking at the narration that how close a disciple is to a guru. Because in this case, we know externally appears that Duryodhana and Lord Balaram are close, but and we see the same thing with followers of that were basically worshippers of Lord Shiva in the case of Banasura and Ravana. So the closeness of the first lesson, the closeness of guru and disciple, is that the real gift that one receives from guru is Krishna prema, is love of Godhead. The term is that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur used is Nishkapata Kripa, which means that Kripa is mercy and Nishkapata is translated as without cheating. Niskapata. Kapata means cheating. So without cheating. So once receive mercy without cheating. Cheating in this case means when we have an ulterior motive, when we maintain an mysterious is another type of motive, not the motive to I have I'm taking my guru's instructions for some personal gain. I'm being serving guru and doing all the things that appears to be very good as it's supposed to be. Surrender, asking questions, serving, but internally my motive is something else. My internal is something that I want to gain. I want some gain for myself. And that was called Sakapata Kripa. You still receive those things. You still receive through the mercy of Guru and the service towards Guru, you still receive some benefits. You receive, you may receive a position, you may receive some adoration, you may receive some things, like that. In the case of Duryodhan, his motivation was about the art of fighting. He wanted to become an invincible fighter. Balaram was the best. He wanted that. So he sincerely looked up to Lord Balaram for that, and he learned very well the art from Lord Balaram. But really, he was not looking for that relationship, spiritual relationship, and to obtain the real gift of the spiritual master. So it's important to understand that we have to be very careful in our relationship with the spiritual master, that you know it doesn't mean just externally that we're close to our spiritual master, but internally we're far. It's better that we are close internally, even if we're far externally. You know, Srila Prabhupada have very limited association with his spiritual master, but he was so close internally, like that. The second is that Duryodhan had faith in Lord Balaram, but he didn't have faith in Krishna and Krishna's devotees. So sometimes we may be very enthusiastic about our guru, but we be offensive towards the Vaishnavas and our Guru Maharaj's God brothers. So that one is not. It's also we have to be very careful. In the case of Duryodhan, that was a big flaw. So it's very important that we be very careful about that. And then the third one is that, this sort of, when you have this agenda, that you follow in your guru, but actually, you have, it's almost that you go externally, you're putting a display, but you're doing something that goes very contrary to your spiritual master. So you're compromising your spiritual master mission because of your personal agenda. You're ready to do that. when the spiritual master's mission is very clearly explained and you undermining that because of your personal agenda. And that type of duplicity, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur put it very nicely in a song. And something that we have to be very aware. Srila Bhaktivinoda sings like, here is a disciple of Kali Yuga. He have shaved head, wear copings, mark his forehead with tilak, and keeps tulsi beads around his neck. So Prabhupada say the only way this movement becomes undermined and destroyed is from within. So we also have to be careful as we, to see these lessons from this relationship of Duryodhana, that at the end he was not a good disciple. At the end, because he had such a, personal motive. This is a very nice quote from Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj that just conclude with that. Finish. Quote, we're only pretending that we have done Atma Nivedana, that we have surrendered, but we have not really surrendered. We have only been pretending for so many years, and also for so many years to come in the future. As long as we continue to act artificially, we cannot approach Guru, Sadhu, or Vaishnava. We cannot get their mercy at all, and therefore we cannot see their real form. We will be cheated. We'll get all external things. So that's some of the things that we can take. Any comments or questions? Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you for the class, Prabhuji. There's so many points that you made that it's really probably not enough time to churn the subjects on the different points. Um, the, yeah, it basically one thing personally for me that it boils down to is that Sly and the Family Stone. It's a family
The what?
affair. Sly and the Family Stone. The song. It's a family affair. It just reminds me of the lyrics to that song. Um, if you ever get the chance to check out the lyrics, it talks about a lot of these things in the lyrics. So um, one thing for sure is a personal thought I can share is that in our scriptures have the guru always allows a person to be true to themselves first and foremost. And I think that's what's really important is that a person find that be honest and transparent and be true to themselves first and foremost, and then seek guidance from Guru. I think that's the best place to be, rather than try to mask things. Like a person's. I remember, I think it was the pastime where the person couldn't chant Krishna because they could only chant Ram's name or something because of their internal identity, but they were always true to themselves, and then it came out later like, okay, you can't do this because you are this. And I think that's the first safe place to be, is be honest and true to oneself. And then they say, if a person is be true to thine own self, then you can be false to no one. So if a person is true to himself, they're always going to be okay, because if they seek that guidance, their sincerity is there, and they'll get the help they need. So that's just
Yeah, the one thing is that is very, very true, and is part of the spiritual master's mercy. That he give you the capacity to see or to understand, or even if you don't understand, it helps you be situated according to where you really are, where you really at. In general, for most of ourselves, we have no clue. We have a sense of what we want to be or where we are, but most of the things are very clouded for all kinds of um, um, conceptions and misconceptions and all the things. So it becomes very difficult for someone to have a very clear understanding. So then it requires a spiritual master like Narada telling Ragnakar, you know, he told him, chant Rama. And this guy say, he tried, but it didn't come out. I mean, it was so sinful that he couldn't sing it. So then is the spiritual master who helped. He didn't tell him, the reason you're very sinful, not like that. The person is not ready for all breaking down. So the spiritual master intelligence is that he knows. It's part of the whole magic of a bona fide spiritual master and a sincere disciple. Ragnakar was sincere, so he accepted following the instructions. He tried, he couldn't. Then, you know, Narada gave him an instruction that was suitable for him. And he did that. He followed that instruction. He chanted Mara, 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 you know. So, and he got the benefit because he accepted the instruction and he followed the instruction. So otherwise, we in general it's very difficult to for a conditioned soul to have a very objective understanding of where you're at, because it's pretty much clouded. So the spiritual master Prabhupada explained, is the one who clarifies for you your swadharma, your your varnas and your ashram, your natural propensity and also your spiritual practices. So yeah, the position of the spiritual master is very important, but the problem, the Duryodhan problem, is when we hold on to our ideas and our motivations, and at the end, it's combined with all kinds of uh, rationalizations and all the things that we do to actually, you know, com- maintain our conviction that yes, this is what I'm supposed to do. That's what Duryodhan did, but it's not necessarily in connection with his spiritual master, Lord Balaram. And at the end, how you can see when that's happening, when you start to have these negative emotions internally and then manifested externally towards the devotees. Usually that's how you start to see that you're in a regressive, not progressive. Progressive means that yeah, we have difficulties, but we little by little getting better and better and better, little by little, gradually. we're progressively becoming purified. And then because of that, you see the devotees that are progressively becoming purified are more, have the capacity to don't get into altercations and negative stuff towards other devotees. It may happen, and you can correct yourself, and like that. But with those who are in a degrading path, you can see that it becomes more and more negative towards devotees. And then, it's a spiral down. It's a matter of time. So yeah, that's some comment on that. Achinte, you have any question?
Hare Krishna, thank you for the class, Subala Prabhu. I just wanted to clarify when you say it's important to stay internally close with spiritual master. Do you mean that's what you said? Not to have my own ideas, not to stick to my own ideas and motivation, or it's something different?
Yeah, it's this principle of surrendering. There's this partial surrender, and there's full surrender, Atmanivedana. That's the last thing that I read from Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta has some similar thing, that he explains that this partial surrender shows that you maintain some separate agenda, external thing. It doesn't go with, it's that I won't follow. I won't. That's the part that I'm not ready to follow my spiritual master. So so that's the part that we're working on. We're working towards closing that gap from external to internal. So the closer we are internally to be that connected with my spiritual master, meaning the internal part, meaning the instructions of my spiritual master, then that I'm taking it to my heart, then the external part is when you put displays. You're pretending. I'm sitting here and I'm a good devotee, but after that, I do some. I have my little touch of nonsense that I do, like that. So right now, oh, I'm a good devotee, but in other place, oh, I'm a struggling devotee. So, but my my display constantly is like, you see me, and you have to accept me as. So it's like that. The external, that's how I understand it. External is when you make a display. Internal is when you're really internalizing the stuff. And we can make ourselves vulnerable. I'm trying. I have this weakness. I have this strength, and I'm okay. I'm working out. I'm trying to clean myself, purify myself. I'm addressing those weaknesses, and sometimes I ask for help. Sometimes, and I can be transparent about it, like that. That's how I understand it.
Thank you. So Duryodhana was not internally connected to Balaram as to spirit, right?
Right.
Just externally.
It's so external. It's all he has an agenda. I mean, if he was internally connected with Lord Balaram, he would love Krishna, because Lord Balaram is, you know, a lover of Krishna. It's like, it's Krishna is his life. So how something that is so important for, so that shows it's so external. So that's the point. All right. Thank you. Grantarashimam Bhagavatam ki jai.